Warning, this program is no fucks given, attitude driven, and is the opinion of two dudes with a computer. If you are offended, frankly, we are beyond giving a shit. Viewer discretion is advised. Oh yeah, here we go. There ain't no stopping them. It's the news from two dudes with attitude. Now, here they are, your hosts, Mr. Bruce and the Reverend Brock Lee. What's happening, buddy? Bangarang, baby.
How you doing, man?
Doing good. We haven't done one of these in a while.
No, why not?
Well, you know, we had the cruise. We had a bunch of stuff come up, and then we had the cruise. And we were planning on doing some on the cruise, but I couldn't get the right internet connection to make any of that happen. So, you know, there we go.
A shame, man. I think me, you, live, people flying in and out, I think that would have been really, really cool, man. I think that,
I do too.
I think our watchers missed an opportunity with that, man.
Yeah, I do too. I'm gonna have to make sure and look at that and make sure next time I've got the right Wi-Fi. As you know, though, I left my own phone at home for the whole damn trip. So it was
what
all.
happened with that?
Oh, don't even start with me. Don't start with me. Call me like an ex-wife. Where you at? Where you going on? What's going on? Okay.
I'm out of here. Bye. Gotta go.
Gotta go. And hung up on me. There we go.
I did not hang up on you, but it was a bit abrupt. But it wasn't hanging up
A
on you.
bit abrupt. Okay.
We had shit going on. But so, hey, because of that, we have missed like a couple weeks of news, man. And a lot has happened.
There is.
Our last show.
And if we got to step into some off stuff that we don't normally do, let's do it. Because there's just so much going on in the world right now. Some of the stuff's got to be talked about, you know? And everything else.
What is the biggest burr in your shoe right now?
The biggest burr in my shoe, I guess, is the whole people freaking out over the gas prices, things like that. We've been here before. And you know what? And I'm just going to be very simple in this. I'm not going to go very deep or whatnot. I'm going to start with, I remember when George W. allowed this to happen, people raped him over the coals. I don't hear anything about Biden about it except coming from people like me who are pissed off. And somebody can do something, and I keep hearing people wanting to blame it on Russia and the Ukraine and all. I just don't buy it. I think we can make enough oil to take care of ourselves. So, you know, but we've been here before. Do you think it's going to stay that way, or do you think it's going to do what it normally does, and then it'll come back down?
I think you're going to see ebbs and flows. My take on it is, you know, everybody's trying to go and blame Biden for it. I got a lot of Republican friends, and they're all Biden. And, you know, it's a double-edged sword. First of all, the president does not actually control gas prices.
Oh, bullshit. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But
he influences it.
But flip side is that if you're the guy at the helm, if you're actually the commander when this is going down, you know, the good stuff you get credit for, the bad stuff, you get it too. So whether he is directly responsible or not and has direct control over it, no. But, you know, he's still the dude. It's happening. It falls under his watch, man. So it's him, man. I mean,
that's what he's elected for. Take care of this shit.
And, you know, he takes credit for, well, the unemployment's at an all-time low. Right. You know, he came on at a real fucked up time to go ahead and get it. He came into record unemployment, so it's a rebound for it. And he probably did a little bit. He probably didn't have a whole lot to do with it. His policies had some to do with it. But it's more just the time he's in and just his moment. Bill Clinton got credit for internet technology. And, you know, it wasn't so much him. It was just the time he had. He was president for. Right. He didn't do shit to really help it. But he got credit for it because that's what he was in. Right. You take the good with the bad. And Biden does not have actual gas price control. But, you know, like I said, he's a dude. He wears it, man.
Yeah, and that's it. And it's just like everything freaking fell apart. Everybody's like, okay, we got Goofy in the White House now. So let's start precedent, the whole Afghanistan thing. Everything's happening because I just personally don't think the man projects any type of power, any type of control in his structure. I'll say that right up front. So that's just me bitching, though. That's not true. Me backing it up with anything. That's just me going, when are we going to have enough of that's all, folks.
I agree with you, but I'd rather have.
Oh, don't say it.
I'm going to go ahead and say it. I'd rather have that than I would to have a compulsive liar who
kept gas prices down, who was responsible for one of the lowest unemployments in the country, or is responsible for. Come on, dude. Too many, and that's what's wrong. Too many people are mad at the man, but they didn't look at what was actually done as a president. Now, where I'm pissed at him is all the COVID stuff, because he didn't have enough nuts. It was too close to election to declare and put a stop to a lot of the stupid bullshit then. Okay, so I don't think he walks on water, but I'd go back in a minute.
Like I said, I can step out of the box and say that a lot of things are just it's just a time and what's happening in the world, stuff like that. Inflation, that's happening because of COVID. We got people who actually have not been in the workforce for so long; they just don't want to go back. And
that is true. I don't know where the inflation falls, but like just the other day. We haven't been to the Chili's near us. You know where we live. And since before probably Thanksgiving. We've tried 3 and 4 times and had to walk out because they couldn't handle it. There was mass walkouts in the restaurant while we were there for people not getting served. And we took a shot at an off hour the other day. And we got in, got fed, got everything, was talking to the girl. And she's like, people just don't want to work. And, they just, and it's not even, and you know what's silly is especially here in Florida, the wages are going up, all right, but less people are wanting to work. And they're just flat not wanting to work. I was wanting to hear, they're not paying enough or things like that. But damn, no matter where I go, people just don't want to work. McDonald's is paying $14 an hour now. Near us, they've got it posted. And in Brevard County, that's good money.
I mentioned it before that I got restaurants around and I know people who work at them, and they're complaining, we aren't staffed. But the kitchens who are paying $16, $70 an hour, they're having no issue with it.
Right.
But the ones who are trying to go ahead and still pay 11 or 12, whatever it may be, they don't have people.
And I asked her, she let me know that as a server, her base was 5 something and change. Mm-hmm. Okay. Which isn't a lot for a base. But again, servers are supposed to be operating off the tip system. Now, one of the things, and I think you and I both know, people are chintzy with tips and they forget that that's what these people are working off of. It's not really that salary on the servers. Like you said, back into the house. Yeah, they should be, they should be doing it. But how much more are you gonna pay than 15, 16 an hour if you're gonna break it down on a restaurant level?
You pay whatever it takes to keep your business running.
Right.
Just because you pull a business license does not make you a job creator. If you're paying a living wage, you're a poverty exploiter.
Not necessarily, because I also have to have a product that I can sell. I said a long time ago, and I'm kind of backing up on my words, we exploit a lot of Hispanic workers because there was a big thing about the cost of tomatoes. And a lot of these places were taking the immigrants that were coming over, they really wanted to work. So I'm not knocking them at all, okay? And everybody's excuse was, well, they're doing jobs we wouldn't do. Well, to your term, they're doing jobs we wouldn't do for the money they're getting paid to do it. I've dug a ditch. You've dug a ditch. We've all done it. A lot of people will do it, but they just want to get paid for their labor and that. Now, then the argument when I would bring that up is, well, then if we had to pay everybody back then $10 an hour to pick tomatoes, a salad would be $90. Okay, well, then if that's the price of a salad to pay living wages, then maybe the price of a salad should be $90. All right?
And
Or is that going to die and then people like, they're just not buying vegetables anymore? You know, where does that cycle end? I don't know. Okay? But there's got to be both sides of it. You know? What do you think?
I think that inflation is going to be what it's going to go ahead and be. Wages are going up. Everything is going up. It always goes up. But right now, there's more of a focus on it because because of post-COVID and the whole workforce thing and stuff like that.
Right, but that's my point. Wages are going up. Things are higher than they've ever been before, but we've got people that just don't want to go to work.
Right.
I mean, because all the benefits of staying out on unemployment they're back to normal here in Florida. They're not getting the extra 600 and something a paycheck and everything else, correct?
A lot of people I know, they found gig worker jobs. They found undertable jobs. They found Uber Eats, which we had a whole bunch of Uber Eats.
Oh,
Uber Eats, DoorDash, they're doing side hustles. And during COVID, they perfected their side hustles. So they may not be in the workforce, but they're making money on their side hustle. And so, I mean, I think that a lot of those numbers are skewed because people are finding alternate ways to go ahead and do stuff. During COVID, our culture got very, very creative about how to go and stay afloat.
Yeah, that's true.
And just because COVID's not over with, but it's definitely waning, people have found a new normal. And this is the new normal.
I would agree with that. And so, you know, and I've never thought about it. Do you think that a lot of people now are finding these online jobs, doing different things? I'll work 2 or 3 side jobs to keep from going to work for X company at 40, 50 hours a week at a lower rate. You think that's what's going on? Because where do benefits pay in that thought process? Are we breeding a country of less benefits? Or are they relying more on
I think that the ones who are taking those 40-hour a week, 50-hour a week jobs at $12 an hour don't have the skills, the aptitude, or the ambition to do more than that. Okay. I think the people who can do more are doing more.
They're starting to do more. Okay.
And I mean, how often? I love your shirts on the cruise. Where'd you get those from? Etsy, right?
Right.
How often did you buy Etsy before COVID?
I didn't. And matter of fact, and so there again, I'm like, should I be buying Etsy? Because all those shirts came out of China. I did not support my local worker. Okay. Yeah. But at the same point, and this kind of goes back to what I was saying about the salad and the food and paying living wage, I could not find shirts that I wanted without going through them, and then I couldn't find them affordable.
All the shirts that I have, all my custom shirts I have, those came out of one shop that was up in Washington. Now, that may have been a drop shipper from China, and that's pretty common, but they were all U.S. purchased, and I was not looking for that. But in comparing the 3 or 4 shirts I had, this is $1 more, but they're U.S. made. Okay, I'll spend $1 more. I'm getting 6 shirts. It is $6, sure, and I feel good about it.
And that's what I'm saying. I couldn't find the shirts that I wanted, like what you saw me wearing. Okay, with my logo on it and everything. I couldn't find those U.S. wise, not in. It was much more creative. You know, I loved my shirts.
But point to it is, Etsy is now a valid marketplace to buy stuff from.
That's true.
Where before COVID it was sketchy, and these are the side hustle things. The Christmas ornament I got you. Yeah. That was actually off of Etsy. That was actually designed off of Etsy.
Okay.
And that came from somebody who was working out of their garage in Atlanta. A couple other things I've gotten from Etsy, but these are people who've actually left. I'm presuming they've left a traditional workforce
Right.
and now going into a viable side hustle, and Etsy is their vehicle to get there.
And that may be what's going on. And like my wife buys most of our tarot cards and things like that. She goes on Kickstarter. She likes to support local, the local people, artists or whatnot. Some of them come from England or whatnot, but the independent creators.
And that's still a side hustle from somebody in England.
Yep.
Because they have the same issue we have. This is not our current situation. And getting back to the oil and getting to the gas prices, everybody likes to go ahead and blame Biden for it. But the issues we're having, supply line issues, fuel, inflation, gas, oil, these are global issues. These aren't just American culture issues. And
speaking of that, how much do you think this trucker convoy thing, whatever, is playing an effect on that?
Trucker convoy thing was done, I thought. I thought the Canadian officials pretty much went in and said, y'all can go ahead and leave or get arrested. We're not leaving. So they pulled the paddy wagon up and arrested most of them. I'm pretty sure that's so.
I haven't followed up, but I know then everybody was saying they're coming here. We're their next stop. But,
they were supposed to go ahead and take their roads, and it was rumored they were going to go ahead and shut down the highway to the Super Bowl. Right. And there have been a couple things like that they're, but most of those people, it's easy to talk shit online.
Right.
But when you actually have to go ahead and do something actionable and actually devote some energy to it, most people come up vapid.
Yeah.
Because they're too busy trying to just live their damn life. Online, people go ahead and have a whole persona of I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that, where in reality, they're just another mousy motherfucker in a corner somewhere just trying to go ahead and squeak out a paycheck. And I'm sure I'll get some people who are going to be offended by that, but you know what? Don't give a shit. If you're one of the ones who are actionable, great, good, do it. We need more of you. But most of y'all are just talking shit behind the keyboard.
And you know what? I would agree with that. I felt that guilt. Remember the, shut down Wall Street thing?
Yeah.
And to me, that all started on a very good idea, good note, or whatnot. And I felt guilty about not taking I wouldn't put my money where my mouth is and going out there and supporting that movement. Okay. Mm-hmm. Then not enough true people went out there and it got polluted into something it's not. I have a very, a good friend on the internet, Kathy with a K. She puts her money where her mouth is. We may not agree on everything, but she's been to the border. She's been to the marches. She goes. She waves banners. And what I admire about her, she has taken to the streets in her, I think it's South Carolina, okay, in her neighborhood. And what she's doing for her cause of, human trafficking, instead of being all preachy behind a keyboard and everything, which she does a little bit, but what she has done is she has literally mounted signs to a wagon and she goes down main streets of her community picking up trash. I'm doing this to bring light to this. She's, you and I wouldn't do that in Orlando. We wouldn't do, we're just not. It's a great idea, but the little thing of, okay, Bruce, we've worked all week. It's time for me to come over there on Saturday and us pull a wagon and clean up a bunch of other people's trash. And it happened. So I admire people like that will say, you know what, I'm showing you positivity and bringing a cause out. And we do. You're right. We need more people like that.
Actually, she was actually trying to get a rally going in Philly, and she reached out to me about it.
Okay.
And I totally support it. I don't think it actually worked out, but I at least went ahead and gave her a roadmap for how to go ahead and get there and how to go ahead and do it.
Right.
We need more people who are actually going to go ahead and do things. We're actually going to go ahead and be out there being proactive. I also think that a lot of the things like picking up trash and giving to people, stuff like that, charity should be done quietly. The ones if when you're doing charity, you're saying, "Look at me doing this," you become the charity. I mean, you're not supposed to. I mean, I give grocery store yesterday, and again, this is not. But yesterday, I was going to the grocery store, and there were a couple homeless guys out front. Are you hungry? Yeah. So when I checked out, you know what? I got some extra oranges, bananas, and pretzels for them. Here you go. Boom. Y'all have these. And I shouldn't even be talking about it because, like I said,
right? No, but you didn't take a sign out going, "Look at what I did."
Right. Charity's supposed to be done quietly. If you got a guy on the corner who actually doesn't like he can work, or in Florida it's been cold and rainy out here, and if somebody's out there in the corner saying, "Hey, can I have a buck?" You probably got to be out here because it sucks out here.
And you know what? I'm glad to hear you say that because I've seen more people a lot of times, and that's where my donation source is in the street. And I don't tell anybody or do anything or whatnot.
Like I said,
but to stand out there on a street corner in the rain or in 95-degree heat and 90% humidity and walk up and down is putting in a lot more work than what a lot of other people on unemployment are doing.
Absolutely.
So, at least if it was that gainful, people would be out there doing it all the time. But, I look at that and I'm like, you know what? At least they're not, because I can drive down the street and see 10 other people drinking under a road sign or whatnot. This guy's out here going, I need help. All right?
I'm like I said, charity should be done quietly, and even talking about it is probably anti my whole point.
I get you, but at some point too, we also have the responsibility to remind people, that's a human being you're driving by.
Mm-hmm.
That I don't care what he does with my money. Okay, I really don't. I generally give them more money. Okay, and just because it's easier for me, it's there. Boom, boom. And everybody, what he's going to do with that money? No, you don't either. Okay? Because you don't know this person. But I know this. You and I and things we're tied with are talking about remembering the human factor.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can't lead by example in that, then there's a problem. And I hear people all the time, pisses me off. I'll go buy him a hamburger. Bullshit. No, you won't. You're not putting them in your car, Then do me a favor. Go to McDonald's and buy a bunch of $5 gift certificates. Hand them out the window. Do something instead of doing nothing.
Chinese restaurant my wife and I go to all the time. There was a homeless guy who was out front. Hey man, come in. I'll buy you dinner. We're gonna park. Come on in. I'll buy you dinner, man. Sit with us. Let me buy you dinner. I want to hear your story. He had to walk 12 steps, 30 feet to get there. Didn't come in.
And there you go. That's on him.
But he had the option. Sometimes I am leery about a lot of it's gut feeling as to whether you have money or not.
Yes, I agree.
But speaking of charity, Europe for charity in this whole Ukraine thing.
Yeah.
Europe has been stepping up, opening up their. I've heard so many stories about people trying to take care of these displaced Ukrainians because of Russia. And a lot of those things do my heart good, man. Saw a picture of, it was on like Eurails training them in from wherever they can into like major cities. And the mothers in those major cities are taking like diapers, baby strollers, and those things and putting them at the bus stations for the mothers coming in.
Oh, wow.
I think, man, I mean, and that I get goosebumps, man, because I mean, just things like that level of minutia that you get into it and you get, and the question is, I don't have any money, but what can I do? What do I have? How can I help? Right. And there are a lot of those stories like that coming out of Europe, who is, I mean, you know, it's their, those stories make me well up, man, because I think that's great. And that's a statement to a human condition. No matter what you have, you can find something for somebody else if you know they honestly need it.
And you know what? And that reminds me, and I'm going to bring, me and my dad were never really close. We tried to be or whatnot, and we didn't agree on a lot. Okay, you know that story. All right, but one thing he did, especially as being a minister, that really impressed me. Instead of the you got to give 10%, you got to give 10%, you got to give 10%, he acknowledged that a lot of people that 10% would make or break them. Now, he tried to teach them that God will give back, but that's neither here nor there. But one of the things he said is kind of what you're talking about. If you want to give, you can give of your time as well. Come mow the lawn. I'll hand you all the equipment. Come, help me clean the church instead of me standing here by myself or me hiring a maid or whatnot. Come help me vacuum. Come help me paint. Do whatever at that church. And you know what? He got more people helping him that way than begging or screaming for money. Mm-hmm. And, and some of those people actually did both. And, I admired them. But again, yeah, you can do some things that reach into your pocket, In working with addicts like I did and working with the homeless like I did for years, like I found out most of them are not taking the $3 or $4 that you're giving them and running and buying drugs. They're going to buy cigarettes. You want to have some fun? You want to give them something? Go get those $1 a pack 305 cigarillos. Hand those out. Everybody's like, I'm not giving them. Well, give them something. Again, if he's homeless and an addict, the worst problem I have to deal with is whether he's smoking a cigarette. Help him out. It's one other thing. There's so many things we can do for everybody that we forget that's on the small level. I think you're right, and I admire you for what you do with homeless. I appreciate it.
And I think you just qualified yourself how detached you are with the whole $1 a pack 305s. I think the $1 a packs are now like $3.50 a pack.
Even really the cigarillo ones?
I think that, yeah.
Wow, I'll check that out. I'll find out because I know 4 or 5 years ago I would pick them up for $10 a carton. Here you go. Right. Or whatnot. But, okay. So that might be.
As a cigar smoker, believe me, they tax tobacco heavy over the last decade or so.
Oh, okay. All right. So, well, but you know what? Even then, we talk about everybody's broke. Everybody's broke. Did you go to McDonald's? People will spend on what they want to spend on. It's that much. I used to teach people, hey, you can tell me how broke people are, but how come on the way home every night, every restaurant I pass is full in the last, inflation thing or whatnot. If they want it, they're going to buy it. That's our culture, So, lighten up. So what else? So that was me. I got us started. What for you? What's something that's sticking in your craw? Say it. It's okay. We're going to break this barrier.
I'm about to piss off a whole lot of our fan base here. But
we'll piss the other half off tomorrow, so come back.
People who are buying into the rhetoric about why Russia is invading Ukraine.
Okay.
The rhetoric is they want us to be there. We're trying to go ahead and solve Nazism. We're trying to actually liberate them. They want to be back with Russia. No. Bullshit. They don't. If they did, they had free elections. They had a choice. No. They didn't want to be there. They're going there because Putin is trying to fucking annex them because they got a ton of fucking resources and certain ex-presidential figures have said it's the right thing for them to go ahead and do. So they're blindly following this shit. In the meantime, you're having mass killings, killing civilians. I mean, churches, history is all being destroyed because of it. So
you're saying because of the Russians. So you're saying don't buy into the rhetoric that we don't need to be there. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
No, at this point, I think we need to be able to do more to go ahead and help them.
Help Ukraine?
Yes.
Okay.
But a lot of my friends are like, no, we should stay out of it because it's kind of what they want. It's not our problem, the whole thing. On a global scale, if democracy is under attack and it's not defended, democracy as a concept, as a global culture, is under attack.
Right. And, you said something there, and I think that's it, the rhetoric. People are they don't understand some of the information they're getting is bogus bullshit information that is literally leading people down the wrong path. And I give you, for instance, on that. The whole, we don't need an ID to be able to vote. You need an ID to be able to drive. You need an ID. It's a privilege. It's not a right. Now, voting in this country, is it a privilege or is it a right? But at the same point, when I listen to all the videos, I see a bunch of white people screaming that black people don't have the resources. They can't get there. They don't understand the system. And they're actually making very racist comments on the left because that's what some little birdie put in their head. And they're not correct. Where I'm seeing a lot of African Americans that are going, I got my license, I was this, do this, or whatnot. So on the rhetoric part, I think that's the problem. We don't realize how much we're being played by different factions of a political view because of the accessibility of social media. They're using it as a tool. Does that make sense to you? Did I make sense?
If you can get to the polling place to vote, if you can get to some place to register to vote, if you have the mechanism to go online and register yourself to vote, you should have the same mechanism to be able to get an ID. Now, my only caveat to that is that if you can't get a driver's license and you're just getting a state ID, you should be able to do that for free. And that should fall to the states. Because if you don't have the resource to go ahead and do it, they should have some kind of provisional ID to be able to vote with.
Right. I have no problem. I'm going to ask how much while we're sitting here in Florida, because getting just a state ID is what we always told everybody to do. I have a problem with state IDs, not in people getting them or whatnot, but again, where's your papers? We were born on, I could walk down the street. I don't need to present my papers. I don't need to present ID. That was kind of the basics of America, the culture, things like that. To fight, and it's one of those things, to fight fraud, to fight the crime, we implement more rules, more things on ourselves because we're more worried about somebody getting away with something than we are our freedoms. Like when COVID started, you and I talked about this is an exercise in people being willing to give up their freedoms,
their liberties. Correct.
Your liberties, yeah. Correct. So I'm going to ask, dear Google, how much is a Florida state ID? Well, evidently,
I'm gonna throw up a random. I'm gonna go ahead.
$25.
20. How much?
$25.
I was gonna say 20, so it would have been a little bit low, but yeah.
Okay.
And you should be able to go ahead and, if you don't have the resources to it, you should be able to actually petition to get that money back. If you're really that broke, if you're really into that ultra low poverty thing, you should be able to get that back. But
don't walk in there with a cell phone and with a pack of cigarettes. There's your $20.
You should have an ID to be able to vote, but if that's a prerequisite, you should be able to get that ID for free. And that's my caveat to it. But I agree. You need an ID to be able to prove who you are to wherever.
You gotta have an ID to buy beer, So and again, I wasn't trying to get, or maybe I was segueing into that.
I don't think you can.
But it's the idea of people that they're taking notions that are being fed to them by somebody who has another agenda. And if it sounds logical, they're jumping all over it, and they're not looking at the reality of the situation. You know, they're just not. And I think, like you said, with the Ukraine and the Russian thing, people who don't want us involved, they're feeding this out there. Oh, the Ukrainians don't want us there. Okay. So again, that kind of, we keep coming back sometimes to that social dilemma, that we talked about. Where are you getting your news from?
I don't think there's anybody out there who can argue the point that Ukrainians don't want us there. I think Ukrainians are crying, screaming for us to go ahead and get involved. And once we actually establish a no-fly zone over the Ukraine, that's when this whole thing is going to be exacerbated. And when that happens, there is definitely some risk involved. Now, in '94, when the Soviet Union fell, you are only as good as your word. If I say I'm going to do something, I do it. If nothing else, you're going to hear from me as to what's going on, but you're only as good as your word. And that's the way responsible, honorable people work.
Right.
In 1994, when the Soviet Union broke up, we signed a pact. When Ukraine gave up their nuclear weapons, we said, if you need us, if you were ever invaded, if there's anything going on, we will defend you. We gave them our word to it. And they're going to say, well, you know what? It wasn't. It was a declaration. It wasn't a law. It was this. It was that. Bottom line is, we told them we would do this for you. And we have not.
Right. And you know what? It's funny that you say that, because I tell people in dealing with this all the time, I listen to parents giving out punishment. You probably went through it. That can't be enforced. I'm going to ground you for the rest of your life. Well, all your words are just wasted, because we both know you're not going to do that, or whatnot. But I think you're right. It was like old Gaddafi's, you remember this, line in the sand, or whatnot. Come across this, so what do we immediately do? Try us. And all of that's gone. I think our politicians have gotten to the place they're so afraid to make a mistake, we don't do anything.
I agree.
And I think that was as much with our previous president looking at COVID, because this started with him in office, and he had the power to go, we don't have enough information, we're not shutting the country down, blah, 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 blah. Either we needed to shut it all the way down and do it right, but we went wishy-washy, And now it's a big deal that he's got his, he's gotten the vaccine and all this stuff. I think some of that is just what you're saying. There's no
honor.
Are we a nation of our word anymore?
There is no honor in our government.
No.
And it's not just Biden. It's not just Trump.
Thank you. It's not just those two.
I think Obama tried coming in. They never thought Obama would actually win.
Right.
I think when Obama was running, he had these great noble plans. And then once he actually got in, he realized there is a machine and he is just one cog in. And that's not going to go ahead and actually change shit. Realistically, probably the last honorable president we had, I'm about to piss off a lot of Republicans here.
That's okay.
Was probably Ford. The decline started at Reagan. Reagan is when we actually went ahead and gave up any kind of, we are an honorable nation. Reagan started that slippery slope, and we have just been steadily sliding down it. And there is probably no way to go ahead and stop that without having some kind of internal implosion, without having some kind of major revamp. Everybody wants term limits. Term limits aren't going to happen because people aren't going to go ahead and vote to limit themselves. Right. We're not going to have a third party because the two parties who actually control the system right now don't want the competition. It's going to go ahead.
But do you think that now? Because that's something near and dear to my heart. I was going to vote Libertarian and actually voted against. So for 2 elections now, I've voted against somebody rather than for somebody. Mm-hmm. And that is becoming a habit. Therefore, the third party, because none of us will just say, I'm going to vote who I believe in, whether I win, lose, or draw, okay, we're not doing it. I think we could have a third party if we would stop worrying about, well, if we don't do this, the left, we're wasting our vote fighting against something rather than fighting for something.
And actually, we had that discussion last time about we're voting against people rather than for platforms. And We've had several long discussions about it. Now, until the finances systems of it is actually revamped, you can cast your vote for a third party, and it is a symbolic vote at best. I don't believe the whole you are wasting your vote thing, because if they get 5%, that's a win for them.
Right.
But that's not going to go ahead and push the candidate up there.
Well, remember Ross Perot. And there were people that just said, screw this, I'm voting for Ross Perot, kind of the old version of Trump. And people were like, you're the reason we lost the election. No, I'm not. I voted because you're assuming that if I hadn't have voted for Perot, I would have voted for your candidate. Okay? And I only did that one election. But I'm tired of it. I think you're right. You made a statement when we were arguing this out before once when we were on the phone. You're like, our candidates are a C- and a D+ candidate.
Yes. Pick one, but yeah, one of them, yes.
We don't have, and therein lies the problem. How did we wind up that these, out of this great country, and all of the people, the leaders and everything that are out there, that was our two main choices? How do we wind up with that? You know, and maybe that's the root cause of we need to go, what the hell, folks? You know, because we don't need a politician. It's politics. We do need somebody that knows some diplomacy, knows when to be nice, but then knows when to, I'm not taking your shit. You know, I mean, the man alienated every press thing out there. And then he wondered why he lost the election. You know, it's like, you dumbass, you can't just continually piss people off. At some point, you've got to realize we use diplomacy, we use politics for a reason. Or every 4 years, it would just be, okay, battlegrounds, whoever's fighting, get your swords and let's go, you know? So I don't know. What do you think? How do we change that?
Okay. Politics is a machine, and we have very, very, very good spin doctors at work who understand the human psyche and understand how to go ahead and get people motivated. Great example. Last Republican I liked was Mitt Romney. I liked Mitt Romney because I felt that he was middle of the road. He was a Republican, and I didn't agree with everything he said, but I probably aligned more with his values than I did anybody else. The Republicans didn't like him because he wasn't far right. The Democrats didn't like him because he didn't have a D beside his name. But truth is, his policies were actually pretty sound. He was a smart guy, and he was a fair guy. And I was planning on voting for him until the spin doctors got a hold of me.
Right.
And they told me the story about him moving and him taking his pet dog in a pet carrier and putting it onto a trailer going down the highway. So his dog is in a pet carrier on the highway going down the road, and 35, 40 mile an hour winds. Now, did it actually happen that way? I don't know. But you know what? That story, with me being a pet owner, that story was actually impactful to me. And I don't want somebody who's going to go and treat their pets this way. So I did not vote for him. And that's the story that put me over the top.
Biden dog thing, you got just as hot about Biden with giving up my dog so I can get a dog that's more user-friendly in the White House or whatnot. So, yeah. And do you think that's a problem, though, that we're all living on our hot buttons?
Oh, no. A problem? No, it's not.
Okay.
Because everybody's got them. And if we didn't have our hot buttons, we wouldn't be passionate about anything. We're supposed to go ahead and have things that we're invested in and care about. And the system uses that to actually work against us. And
But that's what I'm talking about. We're also supposed to say, this is my personal hot button. All right? But there's more to this than how this man treated his pets.
yeah, absolutely right. And as we get older, we get the wisdom to be able to actually go ahead and define that. But Mitt Romney was going to say 18 years ago.
Yeah.
So I was a much younger man then, and I didn't have the same wisdom and virtue I have now.
Right.
I was not as embedded in my value set then as I am now. Now I would vote for my value set no matter what. And it's hard to go ahead and get me to go ahead and go off my value set.
Right.
Now, realistically, my value, and both candidates, Trump and Biden, I have issues with them both on my value set.
Yes.
I think that our leaders need to be strong, well-spoken, impactful. Biden is not those. Now, Trump may be strong, but realistically, he's a damn idiot.
There were things you don't brainstorm when you're the president from the dais. You don't stand there and go, well, because I listened to the whole, what was it, the Lysol bleach speech or whatnot. Right. I was listening to it live. He did not say what people said he said.
Right. Correct.
But you are the president of the freaking United States. And I go back to a phrase from The Godfather. You got mush in your head from that young girl you're doing business with. Never let people know what you're thinking outside the family. That's the reason you have advisors, and they took...
Bingo. And that's exactly what I was about to go ahead and say. If you listen to the people, you surround yourself with people smarter than you.
Right.
And you listen to them.
And that was I think was one of his major problems was
this guy.
He just wanted a bunch of I agree with you.
This guy. That's exact. Yes, you said it exactly. Yes.
And so that's not a good leader.
And if he would have let the machine work for him, he would still be president today.
I agree.
And
his mouth got him knocked out of there.
And everybody has skeletons. They all have shit. They all got a fucked up history. Everybody's got this, and it's going to go and come out because that's part of running public office. Public office. It's going to come out. You don't have to respond to every one of those. Pick and choose your shots. And he got too worried about it, and he let them get to him. There are people who do what they do and do it well and advise the president.
Right.
And that's the reason Biden is probably ineffective the way he is. The only reason he's doing as well as he is because he has good advisors around him. He has surrounded himself with competent people. He is probably the anchor tied to that ship.
Trump, I believe, do you think they told Kamala to shut the hell up and be quiet for a while? Because you don't hear much from her.
Absolutely. And you know what? I get in my circles, in my clubs, in my things I'm into, I don't want to go ahead and be the president of any club. I don't want to go ahead and be the agent of anything. I want to be the vice president. I want to be the assistant. Because I say it all the time, presidents...
Put me where you need me, coach.
Presidents, they get shot. Vice presidents go to parties.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be the president. I want to be the vice president. I don't want to go... I don't want that role and that responsibility. I am a great person in the background to give advice. I'm a great person to go ahead and actually lift you up. But I don't want to be the dude that's in front of the camera. I want to be the guy that's actually beside you. Camera's on you. I'll be one step to the right, one step back. That's my spot.
Yep.
But I don't want to be the dude the camera's focused on.
No, and I'm with you. Everybody's like, well, would you run for? I can't. I got too much. Like you said, we've all got luggage in our darkness in our closets. Okay, and so mine, I just don't want out there. You know, enough people know about it already.
Uh-huh.
But, you know, at some point, I would like to stop caring about, you know, well, he was with 14 hookers. Number one, I'm glad he had the money to pull that off.
I was 22 and I was having a blast. Fuck yes, I did. I was. If I was 22, I'd be doing the same shit again, except for I would buy more cocaine.
When Clinton said, I had indeed smoked marijuana, I was like, yes, finally somebody that's honest. And then he went, but I didn't inhale. And I'm like, you traitorous son of a bitch. You know, if you're going, just admit it, because, you know, we need honesty, you know, and I don't care. You know, even he was set up because of stupid stuff. He wasn't thinking. We're all human. Every person that occupies that office, last time I checked, is going to be a human being. Okay.
There is a line I use all the time that when pictures of Obama in college smoking dope came out, his response was, and I love this, and it is part of my lexicon. When I was young, I did the things young men do. And I use that line at least once a month because it's true.
I have no problem with it. I would rather somebody govern me knowing that they've lived a life rather than this protected seminary lawyer, rich that they've had shields put in their way, different things. I'd much rather have somebody come out and be honest, you know?
My 20s, actually, you pretty much got to meet me on the tail end of it. But my 20s, early 30s, bro. There's people who are watching this who know me, and they're like, yeah, I knew him. He was really, really fucked up then, man. But you know what? When I was women, drugs, partying, the whole damn thing. And that's what you're supposed to do when you're 20 to 30. And then
even when Clinton was going through the Lewinsky thing, just tell him the truth, bro, because even a lot of middle of the road Republicans were like, just don't lie about it. Say the truth. He answered the truth. Now let's move on. We got bigger fish to fry. But then they didn't jump all over the fact that he had sex with her. They jumped all over the fact that he lied about it.
He lied about it.
You know? And I'm still like, wait a minute, she saved a dress with a stain? You know? And we're all like, oh, poor Monica. Oh, woman, please. Well played. Well played in that chess game, you know?
I mean, and the only one who has the right to be upset about it before he lied about it was Hillary.
That's it. And what they do, I don't care.
But you know, as an adult man, if a 21-year-old wants to go, you know what? That's between you and your wife. And that's going to be a whole set of problems you're going to have on the back end of it. But those are your problems to go ahead and deal with.
Right.
But, I mean, you know, as long as it's consensual, you know, do what you do and just know where you walk.
Right. And again, it's between him and his wife. I was so mad at Tiger Woods for breaking down over the whole thing. You know? You know what? Yeah, I'm a 20-something-year-old billionaire. Okay? Yeah, I partied, had a good time. Did I screw up? Yep. But now, where's the next tee time? Because all I gave a shit. Go golf, buddy. Don't let this tear you apart. You have to deal with it with your wife. And it did. It just annihilated him. And he let everybody's opinion of him annihilate him. You know, Nike, you know, we can talk about cancel culture being a new thing. Nike took his sponsorships away. Everybody, I don't want to be associated with that. This has been going on for a long time, you know? And, I was like, buddy, come on, show him. It doesn't matter. It's between me and my wife. It's not a freaking, I didn't break the law. I wasn't seen on a plane with Jeffrey Epstein going to an island where we know pedophilia took place. You know, okay, but we're willing to elect him president. And a lot of people, if they were given the chance to elect Bill Clinton again for a third term, they'd be right there. And they're both on the same freaking plane. Mm-hmm. You know, you know, it depends on, the hot buttons. I think that gets back to the hot buttons.
Like I said, the spin doctors are good at what they do.
Yeah.
And their job is to go and manipulate you to go ahead and get you to go ahead and vote into this. And it's normally it's not one certain thing. They'll find a couple of them and give a little hip check, a little nudge, just kind of bump you into this direction. And then before you know it, you're on this side of the road.
Yeah, they're looking for that flux. And, this one bought a lot more ground,
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. All I need to do is bump you enough. They're not trying to turn anybody into a radical left-wing conservative or a right-wing conservative. They're just trying to get you far enough to be like, you know what? I think it's safer to vote Republican. Or
30% of the people are going to vote red no matter what. 30% of the people are going to vote blue no matter what. Those are standard. And the number may change, but it's always about that. It's the 40% in the middle, the ones who consider themselves a centrist.
Yeah.
Those are the ones who actually influence the election. And we, as a nation, we govern best from the middle. We don't want anybody far left, far right.
Right.
The ones who do are already in that whole 30-30 camp.
Yeah.
We govern best from the middle. And how are you going to go ahead and draw those middle voters over to you while still keeping your far bases?
Right.
And that's the game they have to go ahead and play. And that's why they find the subtle little nuances about Epstein or the dog or getting rid of their dog, whatever it may be. And there are so many small little pieces, just tidbits that factor into it that you probably aren't even aware you're absorbing. But all those things, like I said, just change your direction just a little bit every time until next thing you know, you're facing over here. And then never realize it.
Right. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
That little just nibbling away. They're not trying to smack you with something hard.
Right.
It's all the extremists that are trying to do that because that affects them. So they think that will affect you and I the same way.
Right.
And no, it's the little nibbly things that last minute in there when I'm pushing. My first wife, God love her.
Actually,
go ahead.
I think the extremists, I think you get hit by several different waves. And the extremists are different from the spin doctors. The spin doctors, they're smart at what they do. The extremists, that's a whole nother attack coming from you from a different direction.
Right.
And I don't think that's even designed to go ahead and change your vote. I think that's designed to go ahead and make you question what you think you already know.
Yep. That very well could be right.
Your first wife.
My first wife, God love her. I've been a centrist my whole life. He didn't even know what it was. Well, actually, at one point I tested out, and I think I've talked about this on the show, I was an anarchist. You and I had even talked about that a long time ago. When I turned 18 and we were in Missouri, we voted, and she was just trying to help. We were there together voting for the first time, and it was some punch pin thing or whatnot, and I didn't understand it. And I'm like, I don't really know what to vote for here on some of this stuff. And she grabbed my little punch thing and just punched Republican. And I was like, I don't believe that way. I want to believe in, if this guy is a Democrat and I think he's going to do what's best for the collective, I will vote that way. But if the guy's a Republican, that more of my ballot, sometimes it's got Democrats and Republicans punched on it, depending on what they're doing, what I know about them, or whatnot. So, you're right. There are 30% of the population. So then we're looking at 60%, because 30 and 30 that have already made up their mind, I'm going to vote Democrat, I'm going to vote Republican.
It's the 40% in the middle who actually going to go ahead and sway the vote.
Absolutely.
And I every time I vote, make a point to go ahead and have some on both sides of the line. Yeah. Just, if nothing else, just for my own well-being, just to go ahead and know I am not totally indoctrinated yet.
Right. I got you. Okay.
Hey, this was fun, man.
This was good. It's been a while. So we got to put another one out. Let's do another one this week. Okay? All right. So, anything you want to end up with? Anything that where are you at? Something you want anybody to know, or
I got the 4 R's, but even more important than that, when it comes to human lives and human loss and culture, do your own research. And that's it for me. I'll probably never know that again, but that's what I want to go and leave on this with. We got people in the world dying because of where they live. And they happen to live on top of a silver mine, or there is trace iodine in the ground under them, and absolutely have nothing to do with them or their belief or their ideologies. And it is a true travesty. What do you want to leave on?
I just want people to understand. Take what you want, leave what you don't. But leave just knowing we're 2 dudes with a computer. It's just our opinions. We're just talking. If this is spurring somebody to get mad and hate us, folks, do you really, you need to look inside and change your energy, because it's going to drive you into a negative place. We got to start learning to handle that. That's my big thing. What do you think?
I don't know they're going to hate us, but you know what? If we're not their cup of tea and they don't want to go ahead and watch, swipe and find somebody else who does. If you're looking for someone to actually confirm your bias, we're probably not the ones.
No, because we're going to tear up both sides, and we're going to get even deeper in some stuff.
So, but you know what? If you like us, let us know. We have an email in the bottom of it, or in the comments. Let us know. Say something. And if you don't, fuck off.
All right. Well said. Well said. newsdudesandtudes @gmail.com. Check us out. We'll talk to you later. We'd love to hear your input. And if you want to be on the show, we got to talk to Stan. We got to get Stan on. Okay? I know Stan has expressed interest, so let's do that. All right, buddy. We'll talk to you later. All right?
Bye.